Mr. President, I'm just trying to be fair here, just trying to do my job, and I want to talk about this assembly line here.
To me, it's vibrant. Listen to the sound.
It's incredible, right?
I love the sound of an assembly line.
It's incredible. But they've got one not far from here. They just idled the electric vehicle plant.
Well, yeah, but it's going to gasoline vehicles.
Yeah, it's going to go to gasoline.
Well, but why don't you say that, Tony? You can't say.
You didn't give me a chance. I'm coming there. I'm coming around.
I agree. I said I want electric and I want gasoline and I want hybrids. I want everything. But you were going to be forced under the mandate to buy an electric car in a very short period of time. I didn't want that, and I ended that. Now people can have electric, they can have gasoline, they can have hybrid.
But are they going to have people to build these cars? The CEO of Ford said not long ago he's got 5,000 open mechanic jobs. He can't find people willing and able to build them.
I know, but that's a good thing, Tony. That means it's vibrant. You could also have things where you have so many people and they can't get jobs.
Jobless claims were high again this past week. More than 860,000 people filed claims. Millions of people are still looking for work. But some employers say they can't find enough skilled workers for certain jobs. That is due in part, they say, to stigmas that need to change. Paul Solman has the story for our series, Work Shift, which focuses on navigating the job market in a post-COVID economy.
In a low-wage heavy economy, plumbing apprenticeships start at close to $20 an hour nowadays. And after just a few years and a license, top earners can make $70,000 and up.
Companies have been trying to cut down on workers for as long as those workers have demanded pay and benefits. Whether it's downsizing, outsourcing, streamlining, understaffing, or automating, if there is something a business can do to get rid of workers and their salaries, you better believe they are going to do it. But this time does feel a little bit different. Recent AI advances have been mocked for not quite living up to the bold claims of their tech bro founders. But even in their current imperfect form, LLMs, general use robots, and generative models are already replacing jobs, and they are getting better every day. So that's bad for workers. But if you're a senior corporate executive or company owner, maybe you should be asking yourself, if we automate everybody's job, who is going to buy all of your shit?
A new study out today predicting almost half of all global jobs could be affected by artificial intelligence.
That 40% of all jobs around the world will be impacted by AI.
And found AI could replace 300 million full-time jobs, including positions in the legal and engineering fields.
So far, there are 9 robots here doing the work of more than 250 humans.
It's true. We are doing so well, it's hard. Now, what's going to happen is people are being trained rapidly, and you're going to have a thing called robots, and robots are going to be a big factor.
This is the most clear example of how Tesla makes a vehicle in a way that no other company on Earth can match. The first stage of this process is going to be fabricating the various panels and vehicle structure that make up the Model Y body. To do that, Tesla is going to use a process called stamping. This is pretty simple. You have 2 halves of a die mold that hold the shape of the part that you want to make. Then you place a sheet of metal in between those 2 halves. Typically that's going to be aluminum, and then the machine stamps down on that sheet of metal to form it into the desired shape. There are going to be dozens of these stamping machines involved in fabricating all of the components that make up the body structure. The next step from there is going to be piecing them all together. That's where the big robot arms and conveyor belts start to come into play. They are welding together all of those stamped pieces to begin forming the skeleton of the Model Y body, moving from one robot down the line to the next, each one adding a new piece of the puzzle. Once the skeleton frame is complete, they're going to start attaching all of the body panels, like the fenders, the doors, the hood, and the trunk. These can't just be slapped on by robots, so there are going to be workers attaching and bolting down all of this bodywork.
I predict that robots are going to be a big factor in the future, and it's going to help out. But you have a situation now where our economy is doing so well that it's not that easy to get people. We're training people, they're training people, companies are training people, and they're doing well.
Why do you think
that's a positive question you asked me. I don't think you asked it in that way, but we are doing so well right now that we're training people to take those jobs.
From there, we go on to the paint shop, where the assembled body gets sprayed with primer and then sanded down to a level surface. Then it goes through a whole series of spraying and dunking and drying sessions, getting multiple layers of paint and gloss, depending on the finish. White is the easiest, that's why it's the cheapest. Red is the most complicated, with multiple layers of color and metallic speckles, and that's why it's more expensive. After the paint is dried, buffed, and polished, the body goes off to have all of the interior paneling fitted, the electronics wired up, and the glass installed. Now, simultaneous to all of that,
we terminated many federal jobs. Because that's a good thing, because they want to go private. The way you make our country great is you can't have too many federal workers, all right? Those workers are being trained to go into the private sector at a much higher salary.
There's going to be a separate process going on to manufacture the Model Y's underbody and powertrain. For that, they're going to start with a structural battery pack. This creates the central frame section of the vehicle in addition to holding all of the 4680 battery cells, along with the integrated cooling and electrical architecture. Then to that battery pack, they are going to directly bolt on the front and rear Giga castings, and that is the entire underbody ready to go in a few steps. The electric motors are then integrated into the Giga castings, one in the front and one in the back. Each is connected through a gearbox into the drive axles for all four wheels. The suspension is all tied into the castings, and the brakes and wheels are added to create a big rolling structure, kind of like a skateboard. Then on top of the battery pack, they are going to lay down the carpeted flooring, attach the center console and interior trim, and then bolt down all four seats directly to the top of the structural battery pack. Then the last big step is going to be to drop the finished body directly on top of the frame and powertrain assembly. The two are connected together by a series of bolts all around the perimeter of the structural pack and castings. From there, the Model Y gets the finishing touches from a team of people doing the final quality control.
One guy told me on the way in, he thinks it's a critical threat to his industry.
Well, in one light, you're telling me that, you can't get workers.
Well, that's what the CEO said.
Well, you said that, and then you said the opposite. You can't have it both ways. Look, we're going to need help because we're expanding so rapidly that people are going to make a lot of money. A skilled worker, a person with talent, education in what they do, not education in nuclear physics, education in what they do. They're going to make a lot of money. Federal workers are leaving the federal government where you had 10 people for every job, and they're going out and they're going into the private sector at 2 and 3 times the salary. And you see that all over. So
I have some good news and some bad news for your theoretical company. The good news is that labor reduction systems of all varieties have already cut out millions of man-hours in America alone. Artificial intelligence is just another tool that your company can use to get more work out of fewer staff or replace teams entirely.
I only say this. I think that robotics are going to be great because this country won't have enough people if we don't have it. Our people are going to be trained, and they're going to make more money than they've ever made before.
This is where any defects and issues are identified and fixed before the vehicle rolls out to be delivered to the customer. Now, that is how the process works at Giga Texas, and it's fairly similar at Giga Shanghai, so now you have some additional context for how incredible it is that all of that can be done so efficiently that they can produce a brand new Tesla every 30 seconds at the Shanghai factory.
Yeah, well, let's talk about robotics for a second, because that's a concern of a lot of people working, not only here, but all over the country. What is the future for jobs like these?